Silence speaks, page number 435, misery, its beginning and end. One who is born in this world is sure to taste miseries. One cannot escape from it. That is why we try to get rid of these things by going into penance, and rishis, sages have devoted themselves thoroughly towards it. There is no remedy for overcoming these miseries except devoting ourselves towards godly thoughts of purest nature. Our thoughts are scattering the main, our thoughts are scattering the main current like the canals in the river, making the river weak. The river cannot flow in torrents if so many canals have been dug out from it. The same is the case with us. Our ideas and thoughts always seem to have wings, and so they have made the mainstream weaker. During puja, we draw in these things and consolidate them in one flow. The thought will have the same force from which so many canals have been made. So the process we adopt is that we go deeper and deeper into the vast expanse. The force of going towards it draws in the water, spreading into all corners towards the force of pious thoughts. The result is that the scattered superfluous things come to the main and supreme current, which is now to flow towards the Almighty, the main goal and place of our destination.
So I'll read now from here onwards. All that is born of attachment is misery. Pain and pleasure both contribute to miseries. Now the inverted comma begins. This is important. If a man were not born, he would not have been subject to these miserable states. Dharmesh, can you increase the font size?
Yeah.
The condition which causes birth is the force of the will, which turns out into the tendency or predisposition to be born. The cause of this tendency is the mental clinging to or grasping the object of the world, and this clinging is due to the five senses. Due to our thirst or craving to enjoy objects, sights, and sounds. The cause of our desire is our previous experience tinged with pleasant feelings. But sense experience cannot arise but for contact of sense organs with an object. And this contact again would not arise had there been no organs of cognition, the five senses and manas. The six organs depend for their existence on the body-mind organism, which constitutes the perceptible being of man. This organism could not develop in the mother's womb if it were dead or devoid of consciousness. But the consciousness which descends into the embryo in the mother's womb is only the effect of impressions of our past existence. The impressions which we make for rebirth are due to avidya. If perfectly realized, there would not arise in us any karma resulting in rebirth. Thus says Mahatma Buddha. So this is a very famous dependent origination, is a central teaching of Buddhism, which consists of 12 links in the chain, which gives rise to miseries actually. And the main cause for the misery is avidya, or to put it in Babuji's words, you have been, snatched away from your homeland by irony of fate. So you have been separated from your connection connection from God. You're not disconnected, but your mind feels that you are separated from God. So that is called avidya. And that gives rise to all these causes. I mean, that gives rise to actions which produces samskaras. Suppose if you do actions with the idea that God is inside doing, or then you dedicate those actions to God with what is taught in Bhagavad Gita as niskama karma, as a sense of duty, the samskaras will not form. And if samskaras are not formed, you are liberated. But because of the avidya, you have a sense of ego. And because of the sense of ego, you have a doership feeling. I am reading this book. I am devoted to Babuji. I am a disciple of Babuji. All these are all ego-related thoughts, which arises as the results of avidya. So when these things come, then those samskaras cause, when a person dies, those samskaras are existing in the mind of that person, and that causes it to take birth, another birth. So that consciousness with the samskaras enters into the womb, and as that consciousness enters into the womb of the mother, the baby grows, and then the body and mind are formed. And body and mind consists of sense organs, the 5 sense organs, and the mind. And these 5 sense organs interact with the atmosphere around, and this interaction through this sight, sound, taste, touch, causes a feeling of pleasure or pain. And pleasure causes you to experience that pleasurable sensation again and again, which results in what is called clinging. You start clinging to enjoy that particular food or enjoy that particular experience which has given you pleasure. And that causes craving. Craving gives rise to clinging. So you crave to purchase a good car, very comfortable car. And then once you purchase that car, then you cling to that car. If any damage occurs, you become violent and angry or depressed or whatever. That is called clinging. And clinging results in certain things which you have not acquired. You put all your efforts to acquire those things so that the craving object is available to you. And then once the craving object is there, you develop clinging to that object. That's why, people are so much attached to property, wealth, physical body, and all that. And that's how attachment comes. And then you die, you're reborn again. Suppose if avidya is not there, and then if craving, by practicing that master is doing all these activities, and then you develop detachment with the pleasurable or painful experiences, then you will not have rebirth. That is what Babuji is trying to say. This is a very, very significant central teaching of Buddhism. It's called dependent origination. So now I'll read ahead. Thus says Mahatma Buddha. I perfectly agree with these ideas laid down by Gautama Buddha. If we go with full force at our command towards our main goal, the world would itself become a second thought. Go on doing the meditation till next page. Yeah. Go on doing the process of meditation till it is matured. So we have to concentrate on the process. You keep on practicing every day till the process of meditation becomes mature and becomes a second nature. It becomes an automatic for you to dwell in the pious thoughts. So that is the meaning of matured. That means you are able to dwell in the thought of the divine in all circumstances. You're going to a party or you're going to a funeral, whatever, still your skill of meditation has matured to such an extent that your mind dwells on the thought of the object of meditation in all circumstances. Then you can think that your process of meditation is matured. So till that time, you have to continuously practice. So pretty much in a sense, till you die, you have to continuously practice meditation. This is the last stage of meditation. When we become one with the real thing, the things following it grow so dark that we do not perceive them. In other words, we become blind in this respect, and our vision for the real thing improves, and we bring it to such a standard that we are lost altogether. When this condition comes, we feel that we are in a state of liberation. If this condition is matured, then there is the end of all miseries. No pain, no sorrow, no enjoyment, and no pleasure. The machinery of body now works without producing impressions upon us. In other words, the body becomes an automatic machine which runs by itself as duties demand. That's why when he talks about ego, he talks about feeling that body is, you feel the body is doing the work. The next stage, when you meditate and you move into a subtler plane of existence, you feel that some force within you is doing the work. Some people call that force as God or master or mind itself doing the work. And he says, when you still do meditation, the mind becomes much subtler, then you don't even feel that your body is doing the work or the mind is doing the work, but then the work is happening on its own. That is the third stage. And the fourth stage, you don't even are cognizant of the work. It is just like a person sleeping in the and then a mosquito bites, and then he says, you hit that mosquito, you're not aware that you hit the mosquito, you scratched the skin. So that is automatic, this thing. And the question who is doing the work and how this work has happened, those questions disappear from the mind at the last stage of ego. So that's what he has described in Efficacy of Raj Yoga. So if you are doing meditation systematically till it is matured, a stage of liberation comes. Machinery of the body now works without producing impressions on us. That's the state of liberation. In other words, the body becomes an automatic machine which runs by itself as duties demand. Here is the end of everything, and there's no making of samskaras. Here is the point where we surrender ourselves in toto automatically. This is the essence of the Bhagavad Gita. This is a condition which the angels crave for. It is reserved for the human being alone. Dear friend, do you not crave for it? I think every one of us must endeavor to achieve this end. The thing is not as difficult as it sounds, as it seems to be. And to me, it is as simple as anything. Absorbency in the pious thoughts achieves this goal. So this is important thought. We should, instead of reading also, we must digest these thoughts and make these thoughts our own. Then only transformation happens. Just if you keep reading and then going on reading into the next, this thing is not productive. Actually, once you have read it, now we should try to recollect the main points of this article and then let those thoughts sink into our consciousness. And as it sinks, then it brings about certain changes in your, brings about certain changes in your subconscious mind. The samskaras get neutralized and then they are driven out because this is such a pure thought of the master. If you hold it in your mind consciously and then later on subconsciously, impurities cannot exist along with this thought. And then your meditation will become better and better if you do like this. So Dharmesh will stop here. Let us incubate these thoughts in our mind and then spend more time allowing these, instead of just reading like a novel and going ahead with every paragraph.
Sure.
We are supposed to contemplate on these ideas.
Just one thing I was contemplating. Last time we read the article before on the miseries, right? It said just the presence of desire is a misery or it's a punishment. And as I was contemplating over it, it's like because there is a presence of desire, the mind is going there and that is driving my thought away from the master. So that is a misery. And now as we were reading this, the main theory of Buddhism, right? It's the cause of rebirth, as you were explaining.
There's no difference between Buddhism and Hinduism. It's a basic yoga only. There's a common point of yoga. I don't consider that Buddhism, even I had discussion with Sir also. Sir says, Buddhism and Hinduism, I mean, this is all, he did not comment about what is Brahman or he did not comment about what is soul. And his idea was there is no self. He says there is no soul. What he means is there is no reality called ego. That's the main idea which Buddha talks, and that's the idea. So and then he doesn't talk about Brahman. He says, I will teach only about suffering and the cure for suffering. That's all about it. And when the suffering is cured, that means more miseries don't exist there. You are one with God only. When you lose your ego, then only suffering goes, because who is there to suffer? It's just like that famous example I keep quoting, if a person has murdered somebody and then the court orders that he should be hanged, and then the court officials go to deliver that judgment to him that tomorrow you'll be hanged, and then he goes and knocks at the door of that house, and the people say, no, this fellow has died 3-4 days earlier, then the hanging has got no meaning. That fellow is already dead. On whom will you serve the punishment orders? So if ego is gone, who is there to suffer or enjoy? So the whole, the samskaras just collapse. There is no base for the samskaras to exist. If your ego is gone, then you are liberated. Only prarabdha samskaras, which are already set in motion, they will exhaust, and then afterwards the person cannot stay in the physical body. So whenever you have a desire, the desire can be fulfilled only in the future. So till that time, that's a kind of a suffering, because a state of dissatisfaction is a suffering only.
Yes.
So, and future, where is the guarantee? If COVID comes, heart attack comes, you will die before that desire is fulfilled. So you have to be born again. So desire itself is a cause of misery, because desire will be only fulfilled in some future, and so many things can happen between in between the fulfillment and desire, the time gap. So many things can happen, and then you're as Lord Krishna says, 5 factors have to come together for any desire to be fulfilled. So desire itself is suffering. So Babuji says, instead of accepting fulfillment as suffering, mere presence of desire should be treated as suffering, which is absolutely logical. Actually. So the Buddhist, Buddha was famous. He says, at any point, if you break the link, you'll be liberated. And the best place where you can break the link, he says, is you should be aware and alert. And when the sense organs touch, or sense organs bring the information about the world, and then suppose you eat something, you have a pleasurable sensation. That pleasurable sensation, you cannot avoid it, because it has been hardwired into our system. Because if you want to survive, if you follow pleasurable experience only, you will survive. And if you avoid painful experience only, you will survive in this world. So it is hardwired into our system. But there, if their craving will develop. So if you are alert there, you cannot, pleasurable experience is there. It is a nature of God or nature of thing. You have to just watch that it's a pleasant feeling, that's all. But don't allow it to develop into craving. That is where, if you bring in master there, master is a universal presence. He's present everywhere. All the pains and pleasures are in his body only. And then it is of the nature of bliss. And when he is eating food, or he is experiencing everything, he is a void. So there'll be only ego is there. Ego can develop craving. So if a universal force is involved through you to experience things, the craving will not be developed. And as the craving, you arrest the craving there, you cut the link there, then you're liberated. And what remains is the past impressions which have to be undergone, that's all. So that is why, if you practice constant remembrance with the idea that master is doing everything, you will not fall into the trap of craving, because it is a instinctual reaction of human being. If anything pleasant, pleasurable experience, you crave for that experience again and again, and there you are trapped. And then you create a mental world, and then you develop likings and dislikings, and then you create your mental world completely. The network is formed. That is why yoga is self-discipline. Like pratyahara, if you withdraw your mind away from sense organs and allow it to rest on the subtle presence of God inside you, so sense organs will not be active. If sense organs are not active, you're not exposed to perceptions of pleasant and unpleasant things. So if perceptions are not there, desires, aversions will not arise, and then mind will be calm. That is what yoga is all about. It's all about self-discipline. Self-restraint. Restraint is yoga. Okay, you got the point?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Restraint in thought, right? So, and also in terms
Behavior.
behavior response to
A thought comes, let it come that you want to watch a cinema, a thought comes. At that time, common this thing is that comes with a force. And at that time, you're not alert, you succumb to that force, you watch the TV and then you create further impression. But at that time, you think about the master, you see a dance scene and you're attracted to the dance, think that master himself is seeing. When you really think like that, the craving becomes weak, and that the power of the samskara just expends itself and it becomes waste and it goes away. But if you miss the master there, then you become a slave to that distraction and you succumb to the distraction. And then, so self-restraint is you have to be conscious that master is seeing that. Then the samskara loses its power to distract you. It will be there for some time, but if you have patience, it is like a wave which comes and goes. No experience will stay there continuously. After some of them will stay for longer period, but they'll just expand it. So any vibration will not be continuously there. Vibration is produced, it has got a production, it stays for some time and then it dissolves. Just like a music, if you do some veena or guitar or sing a song, the vibration is created, it stays for some time, it goes away. Anything production, maintenance, destruction. So any samskara which causes a perception in you will not be a permanent perception. It's a temporary thing. It comes and goes. So during that time, if you maintain constant remembrance or you do pratikulya savarjanam, anukulya sankalpam, that is self-restraint actually. So if you're practicing this, that is called self-restraint. And that is difficult because easier thing is to succumb to desires actually.
correct.
So that's why yoga is so difficult. Why everybody would have done yoga and then realize it's not such an easy thing. Anything else?
So actually, just wanted to add in reality at dawn. Babuji Maharaj also explains how that works when you think that master is doing.
Yeah. A constant remembrance he talks.
Yeah. So he says when you think master is doing, immediately the force of the master will start flowing into you, and it will relieve you of the temptation of engaging with that thing.
But the problem is our mind is so addicted that you don't want to bring master into the thing because you'll be losing the pleasure for which you are accustomed. So you don't bring in the master. That's the problem.
Yes.
That's a common problem because I've gone through that problem myself several times. I knew I'm doing a wrong thing, but then that's giving me a lot of pleasure. I know that is I'm getting into a trap, but I'm willing to fall into the trap. That's the power of Maya actually.
Yeah, sir has actually taken a very strict view of things.
Yeah.
And he says our control should be like what he says, you see the level at which we have degraded the master to, if you have to think that master is doing it. But he says, nevertheless, he has given that technique for us to be relieved.
Yeah. Actually, in one of the diary notings he made on my diary, he suggested to me in his comments, he said, at this stage of your spiritual growth, if you use that suggestion, it will start working. That's what he mentioned for me. So I leave you to make your own conclusions about it. He says, from this stage onwards, it will start working for you. He said. But nothing prevents. If you sincerely do it, it should work, because Babuji has said it has to work. But then when you use the word Babuji, you must have a at least a conceptual idea that he is the essence of bliss and he is the essence of peace. He is present everywhere, and then that is the final destination we have to, and it is it's sheer joy and splendor actually. So if those ideas come to you only, then it will work actually. Otherwise, it is just a language in your conscious mind, which may mean nothing to your subconscious mind. Subconscious mind is still a slave of those samskaras. It will not work unless your conscious mind dwells, has got a very clear intuitional awareness of the greatness of the master. It will not work. Anyway, then we'll meet next Sunday.